An interview on my stepdad. My stepdad is a pediatric dentist. He has been for 30 years now, 35 maybe, long time. He has been a pediatric dentist, so I decided that I would ask him, since he is older and more knowledgeable and has gone through different time periods of life, what it was like back in his time growing up before he finished college. So he said that the workplace in 1965 was basically your second home. You were there all the time. It was where you went to provide service to others and your employer. The benefit was making money, providing for your family. It was a prideful dedication, bigger than yourself, to provide for your family. He says that fellow employees were like your own family because you spent so much time with them. It was a social venue to build relationships. It was the equivalent to what the church and families were. He says that you're very tight-knit with the family workforce. So I know a lot of people today are really close with their fellow employees. I know I am. All jobs back then were blue-collar. There was no upper class, lower class, according to him at that time. He grew up in Indiana, so I'm sure different states it may have varied. In Indiana, though, this is what it was like. There were big corporate America with big CEO salaries, was remote. You basically did whatever type of work your family or father handed down to you from years and years on, or you went to college. And my stepfather came from a very not poor background. His mom was a teacher, and so he felt that the best thing was for him to attend college because he wasn't getting a family business handed down to him. I know, like, farmers, they would hand down family business and other things like that, just a common shopping, like the store down the street, that business was handed down to the shoemaker. But he didn't get that, so he decided to go to college. Going to college was brand new to society back in the day, and few people gave that the opportunity to actually go. There was great expectations permitting all of kids today when they graduate. This did not exist back then when he was in college. He actually did his 4-year degree in 3 years, and we all know it's very hard nowadays. Most average people graduate in 5 years. So for him to do that in 3 is remarkable. He's very smart. The vast majority of jobs were manufacturing or construction through the government growth. During this time period, the government was growing and expanding, so roads were made, bridges were made. Anything that the government needed was made. The jobs were mostly manual labor. Manufacturing was production lines, conveyor belt assembly lines. If you weren't tearing it down for the government, you were building it, reconstructing. So basically, there wasn't too many avenues back then in 1965 to go, and he wasn't going to take construction. He wasn't going to take a family business, wasn't being handed down, so he went with college. The place of employment was usually not as important as the people working there. But to get along, most people had to be agreeable to diversity and difference. Back then in 1965, growing up in Indiana, it was diverse. Everybody went through segregation and, the history of all that. That's what they were dealing with back in the day. This unity was controlled from the top down by administration. The getting rid of an employee was much easier back then because the loyalty factor helped guide the business. Today, we know some places struggle with getting rid of people. Today's society is very different, according to him, and even seeing since I've grown up, it's different. A lot of people don't work anymore, and it's just the work ethic is a struggle these days. The management practice, there was only one management system. Power was owned by the owner and top executive. The top executive was a foreman who was granted unlimited power over the workforce, the hiring, firing, as well as determining wages, was totally controlled by the foreman. So power was structured from the top down. And that basically goes with how today is. There's the top person and then there's the bottom people in working. And even big names like fast food restaurants, here's people and then down here's people. Today, the employees has granted power via unionization, whereas the power was trickled down back then. Today, the power is granted or earned from the bottom up, like Publix, corporate, like that. You had to work your way up. Today, it's different than back then. People who graduate, it's easier for you to go and get a job in a corporate, big executive business rather than somebody trying to work their way up who doesn't have a degree. Nowadays, degrees are highly important, and that's the difference between when he was growing up in 1965, that he was trying to prove to me that back then it was this, or this. Today, the spectrum is huge on opportunity that us as Americans have, and it's unbelievable our opportunities that we have here. So that was my interview with him. Thank you for watching.